Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode, hopefully, of a new series. And it's going to be detailing details missed in Hogwarts Legacy. Now, I did play this game through, and I didn't originally plan to make any content on it, but after just seeing how much effort they put in really into making this game what it is, I decided it would be kind of unfair not to show my appreciation towards the dev because they have done a stellar job of this game. Now, I do want to point out that this is just going to be small details missed, and little just interesting things and behaviors in the game, and maybe just a little bit of references all around in that. But I do want to put a disclaimer out there. I am not the most knowledgeable person in Harry Potter. I have not watched the books or I read the books and watched the movies recently. And my knowledge or recollection thereof is flimsy at best. So we are going to learn basically together, and maybe you guys also see something that I completely miss, which would be quite cool. But yeah, I'm going to try my best to spot everything and try to correctly identify where I think it's from or what it basically the details mean and stuff. But yeah, I just want this to be a fun little video experience and you guys to interact with me and play around. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the details we missed in Hogsmeade, particularly on the first visit to Hogsmeade. Let's start with inside the shops of Hogsmeade, and with none other than the creator of the whole village, Hengist of Woodcroft. Now, it's said that he kind of moved here during the 10th century, around the 980s, and that he used the now three broomsticks as his home. Now, interestingly, when you look inside the three broomsticks, there's a bunch of family portraits up, particularly of a family with three sons that you'll notice. And around these portraits, you'll also notice that it's just the three sons in their Quidditch uniforms. One from Hufflepuff, one from Ravenclaw, and one from Gryffindor. There's also a interesting diagram of a Quidditch pitch. Maybe it was drawn up when the idea was first started. And we're not sure who this family is because the Three Broomsticks was actually begun in 1452, as you can see here where it was established. But it does seem to be someone's family. Not sure if it's Sirona Ryans or just previous owners of the place, but it is that their family photos are adorning the place. As well as when you loot a certain chest inside of the shop, you'll notice you get Crimson Quidditch gloves, likely from the Gryffindor brother. Though it does also look quite snug on my Slytherin's hands. Next up, we have this interesting shop called Bingle and Blatch. Now, I had a look through and I couldn't really see any shop relating to this one in the books or something. Maybe I just missed something super obvious. But the reason why I say it's interesting is when you walk inside on the one side, it just seems like a normal kind of auditorium of scrolls and books and a kind of podium where possibly readings were done from. However, you'll notice that there's on the other side another door which seems like it's going towards the same shop, but if you go inside, it's a completely different place. This is actually like a place that's making fabric or something, and it's quite interesting. And what I do find funny is that the wizards still use sewing machines despite all their magical powers, so they're still relying on Muggle inventions. Next up, we have this cute little tea shop run by Mrs. Steepley, called Steepley and Sons, actually. And it looks like it's kind of a family business and that it kind of is a tea shop she runs out of her own home, because if you do go upstairs, you'll notice some family portraits, a cozy environment with a fireplace and some chairs and furniture, but you'll also notice that the table was set there for 3 people, and in particular, 2 are still bread basically on the table, almost as if she was expecting her 2 sons, or if they're not home yet, because obviously there's only a single bed in this room. So I'm not really sure what their living arrangements are, but it does seem like they kind of come visit often or stay over and have lunch with their mother. Next up, we have the Hogshead, that we do know from the books and the movies as a rather unsavory place and an unpopular alternative to the Three Broomsticks. Although it is sometimes preferred for privacy, it is still mentioned that a lot of unsavory locals or unpleasant people do meet here, often are the villainous sort. And when you go in here, you don't actually ever see patrons in here. I've been in here a few times and I've never seen anyone sit down or just have a butterbeer or anything here, so it does seem like it's completely vacated. Though you'll notice hanging around Hogshead almost always is particularly someone called a dark wizard, and I read that that's someone who practices unforgivable curses and is more often than not also associated with some sort of dark organization, which does make it interesting and does add to his reputation. It also seems, strangely enough, to attract a lot more Slytherin students than every others. I haven't seen any of the other students here yet, except the ones in green. We move over now to Zonko's Joke Shop, which obviously is a big feature in Hogsmeade, both in movies, books, and just all around in general, a very interactive shop that you can go into. But in particular, there's quite a few really nice trinkets here, like the Hogsmeade Station or Hogwarts Express train set, which you can see bears number 5972, which is the same Hogwarts Express number that is when Harry first rides the Hogwarts Express in first year. There's also just a lot of things you can interact with, and the reason I'm just showing this is to show that there are multiple interactions with the same stuff in the shop, so it's worth a go to try and all of them out just to see what different things you get. There's also this random balloon, which might be from Harry Potter, but it also reminds me of the ones in Shrek, so there's that. Here is another detail, which is not really inside of a shop per se, but inside an abandoned one. So inside the shop outside of town called the Old Fool, which was abandoned because the previous owner accidentally had a shrinking charm gone wrong on his inventory, you'll find a lot of interesting items hanging around. In particular, there will be 2 butterbeers, some candy, a lute, and on the ground, and then a candle on the table next to 2 chairs that have been turned over. My best guess is that someone might have left in a hurry, but this also seems like a sort of date if you look at the items on the ground. Now, this could have easily been a date between 2 Hogsmeade residents and all that, but I don't imagine you would just go to an old abandoned shop to have a date. You'd rather just have it at your house, especially if you're living in Hogsmeade. This seems more like a date between 2 students who didn't necessarily want to be seen or just wanted some privacy. Now, if we want to speculate, it could literally be anyone in this case, but this is just for me to have fun speculating with. One of the prime people might be Natsai Onai. Now, the reason I say that is if you do accompany her to Hogsmeade, choose to accompany her to Hogsmeade, you'll notice Professor Weasley mentioning that she goes to Hogsmeade very often.
I could not choose a favorite shop here. It changes with every visit.
And when you mention this fact to Natsai Onai, she is taken by surprise since she hasn't been here very long, and that she doesn't seem like she particularly wants Professor Weasley or other professors to know about that.
I confess I was surprised when Professor Weasley mentioned that you knew the area, since you're relatively new here.
She said that? She knows more about me than I had thought.
Which means she's probably sneaking out, which is probably also why the items are still scattered and left here inside of the Old Fool. But hey, that's just speculation. If you start to roam at night as well in Hogsmeade, you might also catch a glimpse of a ghost that seems to be wandering the streets. Now, I couldn't find any real articles or reports or something about a death in the town recently, or anything that indicates a ghost roaming around, but it looks like this ghost is only attracted to one shop, strangely enough, and that's Ollivander's. Now, I did try and follow her in there, and that is actually when I noticed another detail. Now, what she does with Ollivander is kind of just stand around and stay into the window, kind of if she's interested in the wands. And you'll see she's actually reacting to me and stuff, but what interests me is that this kind of leads me to believe that this ghost might be a student, at Hogwarts, because of their interest taken into wands. I mean, as a Hogsmeade resident, going to Ollivander's to get your first one, that wouldn't really be someone done by someone at Hogsmeade. That would be someone going to Hogwarts for the first time and getting their wand. Now, I know from a coding perspective, this might just be that they kind of coded, the ghost has been probably coded like an NPC, but that also raises an interesting point, because when you think about the coding of the NPCs, the Hogsmeade residents don't peer through windows and look at stuff and point at things like that. The only coded NPCs that I've seen doing this in Hogsmeade are the students' ones, and since the ghost is actually mimicking their behavior, this is kind of just leading to believe that this is intentionally a ghost that is probably, or was probably, a Hogwarts student now roaming the streets of Hogsmeade. There is some also cool things that also happen right after the troll attack when you're just casting Reparo, because it seems like while you're repairing the chairs and the tables outside of Steeply and Sons, you can actually re-break them by just walking through them. It's kind of an interesting glitch. It doesn't happen once you kind of leave Hogsmeade and come back after casting Reparo, but only immediately after you cast a spell. So I'm not sure if the spell is kind of like a glue setting thing where it has to set like super glue before it actually works, but it's just interesting. Two things that also appear right after the troll attack is this busker type of character called Ernie Lark, who starts to perform in and around Hogsmeade with his French horn over here, asking for tips as he's probably just trying to get a few extra, as he says, a knut, a sickle, or galleon. You also notice the daily profit stand pop up now and then. Now, I think this was only after the troll attack, but I'm not sure. But you'll notice the headline, when you're looking at it, says something about an aura killed. But if you zoom even closer in, you'll see a side article talking about bothersome beasts, what has gotten into them. And this might be referring to the dragons that have suddenly started misbehaving, among other creatures that Professor Fig had raised his concern about.
What the hell got into that damn thing? Attacking a carriage mid-air? A typical dragon would never.
Now we move to the outside of Hogsmeade, in and around Hogsmeade. There's a few just quick fire ones I want to go through. This is this bulletin board that looks like it has some sort of advertisement that might seem like a reference to Moby Dick of the Whale. I'm not quite sure. There's also these lovely little Quidditch training things, what it look like, which does remind me of the ones that you hear about in the books and in the games at the Weasleys' hovel house thing. You also can actually hear the animals walk around. I'm just going to stay quiet so you can hear this chicken do some stuff. And also, while I was walking around, I accidentally fell into the water, which made me realize another cool little detail. When your character jumps or falls into shallow water, they won't really do anything. They'll kind of just like land on their feet and stuff. But when they land in deeper water, you'll notice a small action as they tuck their hands near their chest as they fall in. Originally, I thought he was doing this just to protect the field guide in his hands, as you can see, but then I jumped in without the field guide and he does the same action. We also have this hedge dragon thing, and I mean, this is not really a very missable detail, but come on. It's a dragon that's made out of a hedge, and I just had to make sure all of you saw this because, I mean, that's just very cool. But there you have it. That's kind of my details missed. It's kind of like the first video, and I wanted to feel the water a bit, but I'm totally open to any suggestions or feedback you have. And let me know if I did miss anything. Obviously, as I mentioned before, this is only your first kind of visit to Hogsmeade. There is way more stuff that would probably become more apparent, especially since I haven't been in the shops that require the locks. I have not learned that charm yet, so that might require a second visit to pick up more secrets. There's probably more around town as the story progresses, and yeah, I'll just be on the lookout for more. But I'm very happy to be doing these videos. I hope I can make it into a series. I'll constantly keep my eyes peeled and try to learn more as we go on. But again, thank you so much always for supporting this channel. Thank you for kind of just giving me these ideas and stuff and allowing these ideas to be possible. And I hope you guys did enjoy it. I hope you can give a little bit of a more appreciation for the devs of what they're doing. I think they did an incredible job at the game. But be sure to tune in for more. I hope I can have some more for you soon. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy the game. And I hope you guys are good wizards and witches. And I'll see you all back at Hogwarts.